don't gotta do it if you don't want to. You don't gotta do it if you don't want to. It's just a suggestion. Come on.
Like many things that are good for you, tastes like butt.
Scotch.
Yeah, and the scotch.
Scotch is delicious. I do hope. Actually, I don't know how he'll find out, but I'm supposed to go on a test drive soon. So I'm not going to have too much because I don't want the guy at the dealership to suspect that I'm a little sauced before he allows me to go on this test drive.
Hey, bro, you all right? This is a Mercedes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll take it for a spin, and we'll see if I go home with it or not. But I need a car.
Yeah.
My other one.
Yeah. After 204,000 miles, finally pooped.
Actually, it is under 250 miles away from 200,000.
Oh, wow. So you're right there. Yeah.
And I'm kind of upset.
Almost made it.
After I make this car purchase, I might piece it back together just to go.
Just go 250 miles? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
see where it explodes or bursts into flames, or if I make it, just I'll have to let the wife know so maybe she can follow me or send for help.
Family trip. Hey, I don't want to spend too much time welcoming you back to the ConverSAYtion podcast, but welcome back. We're talking about finances, and this is a great way to start this topic. So we're gonna take you on a
little adventure, maybe to make a money mistake.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the biggest, continuing on with the series in finances and financial literacy and
saving and investing.
Hopefully, few people in our audience are making such mistakes. And if you are, hopefully we've provided some value and ways for you to pull yourself out of some of those pitfalls.
And for those of you who are looking for examples, Psych is living that do as I say, not as I do right now.
So this could be, all right, so situation, and it seems like every time I go car shopping, I'm in the same situation where I didn't expect it to happen and it just happened, and now I somehow have to rush into.
Because it was the same thing with your wife's pickup, right? You needed a car because
it went. Same thing with the Dodge Durango that we had. It went. The car before that, it was. I've had a pretty good streak of used vehicles. So these are used vehicles and required work, and I've kept them running probably longer than they should have been if I hadn't worked on them and put in the effort. But I think with my wife's vehicle, it was a little bit newer when we bought it. It was one of those certified pre-owned. It already had existing warranty on it, and then it had the certified pre-owned warranty after that. So I hadn't had a car with a warranty on it for over a decade. Just worked on my own vehicle, paid out of pocket, things happened, took care of it. Anyway, yes, my near $200,000 miles.
That's a luxury sedan right there.
I would like to drive a car worth $200,000, but no, the Dodge Dart almost has 200,000 miles on it, and it stopped. It really just stopped. So now I need to find what's next. What am I going to drive next? I'm kind of a sucker for things that match. I'm kind of a sucker for not only items that match by brand, but things that match in color. I like things that match.
And you like finer things.
I do.
Niceries.
I do.
You're the only person I know who purchases pens that don't come in a plastic bulk bag.
I like traditional fine luxury items, timepieces, wristwatches, fountain pens, German automobiles.
There
all
we
into
go.
that category. And so I would say one of the biggest pitfalls and money mistakes that people make is living beyond their means. People wanting more than they can afford. People trying to force this square peg into this round hole, and then they come out the other side and they find that, oh, wait a second, I'm not really thriving after this.
Yeah.
Well, this thing that I have, I don't really own it. It kind of owns me.
Yeah. And so for your case, here, finish this Mad Lib. I currently own a color car, and I'm looking to purchase a color car.
Color red Mercedes.
Okay.
Red Mercedes.
So dumb. Oh, I like to have matching things, and I like to have everybody I know make fun of me for my matching red Mercedes. Of course, you could just tell them, oh, you don't have two matching red
Oh
Mercedes.
yeah, for me it's not a status symbol. So the last time I made the purchase for my wife's car, and I, like many of you out there, you've been to car dealerships. Yes, you've been in front of car salesmen. You've been in the office. They got to go talk to their manager. You've been through that whole ordeal, and I have too. And it was incredibly uncomfortable. And I didn't feel like the person sitting across from me who claimed they were on my side and attempting to help was being honest.
Mm.
At Mercedes, completely different. No pressure, zero pressure. They didn't require anything. The ball was in my court. Hey, if you want it, that's great. If it's not for you, that's fine. What do you want to do? They laid out some options, and just the absolute best car buying experience I have ever been a party to and participated in was at this one Mercedes-Benz dealership. So that in part, vehicle aside, in part that is why I'm choosing to go back here, because of how they treat their customers, the experience going through the process, knowing that I was, pun intended, in the driver's seat all the way through, and didn't feel forced to do anything more than I was willing to do.
So it's not so much brand loyalty as it is maybe business loyalty.
Yes. And now the vehicle has treated me well. We did have a little hiccup this last summer with a cylinder misfiring, but that was solved by just swapping out an ignition coil, and now it runs like a champ.
So and I've never really had difficulty with. I know people talk about the horrors of car shopping. Maybe it's just the way that I do things, because I don't like to. I'm not a big conversationalist. I don't really like to talk to strangers really at all. So when I go buy a car, and I've got two Toyotas right now. When I go buy a car, I walk in, go to the reception desk, tell them what I'm looking for, and ask who they have to help me with just that thing. And it's always been maybe the way that I approach car shopping is something to be emulated, because I don't give them really much of a chance to try to offer or sell outside of the scope of which I'm already interested.
Wait. Did I just hear you say you have two Toyotas?
I do.
Two Toyotas?
But just like with you and your Mercedes, it's my Camry is an amazing car. I love my Camry. I've never had trouble with it. I commute with it. It's gone 80,000 miles. It's just been a workhorse and reliable. So when I needed to buy the wife a car, probably because I am happy with the way that my Camry is, but also because of business loyalty, these people have treated me really well. I've never had, I've liked the experience there. I went to the same place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if your wife liked driving your current car, what's the likelihood you would have had another Camry in your driveway?
Probably the same thing.
Okay.
But she needed something smaller, so she got a Corolla, which she really likes. But
it's a nice vehicle.
But one thing I can guarantee you, they would not have been the same fucking color. So there's that. So when we talk about money and saving, or the four things you can do with money, what are you going to do with the Dart? Are you going to donate it?
I don't know. I haven't, because there's Cars for Kids is, 1-800. Everyone knows the jingle. It's all over television. Cars for Kids. That's an option. There, it is. I don't know. I'd have to look into if it's going to be valuable enough to make that donation, because currently it won't smog. The cooling system is shot, And so I don't know. Maybe it could be used for value. I mean, I would take advantage of the tax write off too. So I would also financially gain in some capacity from making a donation to and giving it to a charity. So there is that. But
So, when I bought the Camry, I donated my Sonic, and I had run the Sonic into the ground.
all right.
Completely undrivable, would have cost thousands of dollars to get it running again. And they came with a flatbed, and they hoisted it up and they took it off, and they sent me the value of it in a donation form in the mail. And yeah, it was worth as a donation, it was worth almost $3,000. Undrivable, unfixable, unrepairable. And so I would say that
I'll have to take a look at that.
as a way to kick off, if you're interested in that, I was almost blown away by how much money they gave me the write-off ticket for. Because I was thinking, $300, $400, $500. I just take it to Pick and Pull, they'll give you $200. But I did it because I felt like maybe if I'm doing something good, and they made it easy for me. They came to wherever my car was. They didn't assume that I was going to bring it to them. They had sent somebody out and took it, and I signed it over, and I got something in the mail like 2 weeks later. It was super simple. So
that money mistakes could turn into an avenue.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing about charities. We're talking about charity. So giving is great. Makes it feel good. You're helping others, and that's definitely something you can do with your money. However, if you don't realize it already, I mean, not you. I mean the rhetorical you. If you don't realize it, that donating actually has financial benefits as well. But you have to be above the minimum deduction.
Sure. If you're taking the standard deduction, and that's it. I mean, you have to get to the point where it makes sense to itemize things.
Yes. And so, but like if you've got a house and you've got kids and and maybe you have a 1099 business, like you're an Uber driver or something, then you're definitely going to itemize above the standard deduction, and you can further increase the value of your deductible assets by donating money. So it's like double dipping. It makes you feel good, and it helps out during tax season. And I'll ask ChatGPT, but I think it's like you can write off up to 10% of your gross income as charitable donations, and then it becomes tax write off.
Yeah, we have some forms of giving that we do already, and like many people, taking stuff to Goodwill. They offer you a ticket after you drop off things to donate.
They always ask you,
and you should always say yes, because at least you have that as an option. And they don't, at least the last few times I've been, they give it to you blank, and then they allow you to fill it out as the person donating.
I gave them $1 million in clothes.
I don't know if they're supposed to do that, or if that's just lazy on their part, if they just want to get you through the line and get you out of there and on your way.
Oh, wow, I was way off.
And they just make sure that, I don't know how much they're responsible for your taxes. So they probably, the answer to that I do know. It's zero. Goodwill is not responsible for your taxes. No. You are. And so if you're choosing to be dishonest and commit tax fraud, then that's on you. What number did you find?
You can generally deduct up to 60% of your adjusted gross income for cash donations made to qualifying public charities. Non-cash contributions, 30% of your AGI. So if you're just balling out of control, you can just give away all your money. Like Bill Gates, him and his now his ex-wife have that Gates Foundation where they just full-time give away money. And you think it's great because it's to the tune of $1 billion a year or whatever. But in reality, for being honest, it's probably a massive tax shelter.
Yes. And that's a kind of a good problem to have. I mean, if your income is at a level and the amount of disposable money that you have available is significant, and it's there and it's at the ready, you could take that in all sorts of different directions. Gambling on lucrative investments, like we kind of talked about last episode. You could make a whole bunch of money mistakes. You could just throw it to the wind. And then the giving part too. That's definitely something that I think generosity, trying to instill generosity into the next generation is, I think, something that's kind of fading. Maybe needs to be brought back a little bit.
I don't know.
I think if if people are struggling, if people are trying to figure out how to make ends meet, and their decisions are usually self-centered, and rightfully so. I mean, being selfish is not a. It seems like a derogatory term to be selfish, but to be selfish means to take care of oneself. And if you're struggling to take care of yourself, then you should be selfish in that moment until you can get to the point where you have more and you're living in abundance, so to speak, so that you can be in a position where generosity is something that you're able to do.
Yeah. Giving monetarily is a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And there are definitely other ways to be charitable. You can donate your time.
You can.
So
like Habitat for Humanity,
or at the local soup kitchen, or with your church.
Local church,
whatever.
yes. Yeah.
And so there are definitely ways to get that good feeling that you get from giving and helping others without the tax write-off.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the donating the car. I hadn't thought of that recently. So yeah, that's a strong possibility. I know many of people's, getting back to mistakes people make with money, and just in general, I know automobiles are kind of at the top of that list. I know you have, you like new vehicles. You bought a couple new vehicles in a row.
I have had the last couple I've bought were new. I wanted to buy a certified used Corolla when I bought the Corolla for the wife just recently, but the new ones were cheaper.
The new ones were cheaper than the certified pre-owned?
Than the 1 and 2 year old vehicles that had up to 40,000 miles on them. And I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but
it's kind of crazy, because most people would assume buying at least most people like that would consider themselves financial gurus would usually tell people to avoid buying new vehicles because of their depreciation immediately after you drive off the lot.
And for me, extenuating circumstances, because I'm not trying to be, I got a new car. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, no, I don't believe you are.
But I bought the Camry, the 2020 Camry. I bought it new because that was the first year the Camry had the Apple Play embedded, and I wanted that. So that largely because of that prompted my decision to buy that car new,
to get that feature.
And then with the Corolla, it was because it was cheaper than the used one. I'm like, well, why would I spend another $1,000 on a car that already had 32,000 miles on it?
Mm-hmm. And with my wife's car, when we bought it, that car originally sold for $56,000, somewhere in there, and it was about $20,000 less to get one that was relatively gently used and in excellent condition, with the warranty still intact and another warranty to kick in thereafter. So,
but that is a testament to the point you were trying to make, is that you drive a new car off the lot and it's losing value by the mile.
Mm-hmm. Someone told me that, hey, if you can, save up for the car that you want, and if you pay for it outright, the next year's model's going to come out and it's only going to be a few $1,000s more, if that, So if you can pocket $2,000 to $3,000 more, then you can get the next one. However, that doesn't work with the depreciation.
That sounds like a terrible idea to begin with.
To just roll into the next car. I was going through this car trouble at work, and one of the guys I used to work with was like, "Oh, well, have you considered leasing?" I was like, leasing's probably the worst. I mean, leasing is right above renting
Yeah.
a vehicle.
It is renting a vehicle. You have to want
Yes.
you have to want the latest and greatest perpetually to lease. You have to be that person. Yeah, there's no real investment strategy in my mind to leasing a vehicle.
Have you heard of the car subscriptions?
No.
You never heard of those? Let's see if so BMW used to have them. Let me look them up. Volvo.
So
Basically, it was a monthly finite amount of money that you would pay, and you could drive. You could go through all of their cars if you wanted to. If you wanted to have a coupe for a year, you could have a coupe. If the following year you wanted to, or the next month you wanted to have an SUV, and you could just pick and choose. I have to ask if it's still around. But I know there was a little bit of uproar, and people kind of exposed it as the absolute most expensive way
Yeah.
to meet your transportation needs. So it might not exist anymore. But it was an interesting concept, and definitely one that appealed to people that could afford the payment.
So according to ChatGPT, they're still available in some instances, gaining traction once again as an alternative to car ownership. And companies like Volvo, Porsche are the purveyors. So it sounds like maybe it's bigger in Europe.
Yeah, it was an interesting concept, but what I think in our society, and now more than ever, we have so many subscription-based things, and people look at the number and like, oh, it's $5.99 a month. I can afford that. Oh, it's $12.99 a month. I can afford that. Okay, that's $199 a month. I've got that. But they start to add it all together, and then all of a sudden you have this, $1,500, $2,000 worth of subscriptions every single month.
Yeah, and I don't know how many subscriptions I have for different things, but I know it's too many. But you're right. The reason why it works as a business model or as a practice from the business standpoint is because it doesn't seem super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they all build up, especially when you're doing things like multiple subscriptions for streaming services. I have 5 or 6. Do I need them all? Probably not. But do I want them all? Yeah.
Yeah, same. So we talk a little bit about cars. Cars can have a poor choice. Credit cards, consumer debt. Mistake?
Yeah. So yes, credit cards are a terrible idea for people because of how much money you're paying for the privilege of having that credit debt. If it was like a personal loan at like 6%, I would say maybe that's not so bad. But you're looking at I'll ask ChatGPT, but
It's in the 30s now.
I bet you the average is in the 30s. And this is APR. So if you're not paying off, $1,000 debt, so whatever you spent whatever cost you $1,000 that you bought, if you're just paying the interest payments on that $1,000 thing costs you $1,300 in a year. That's absurd. But I will say, back to what you were saying about owning or buying a car outright. So what I do is I do a 50-50 thing. I save enough money to put half down on a vehicle. That's
smart.
But I do it. I could save enough money to buy the whole damn car, like you had said. However, one of the things that I've noticed or I've learned. So we live in a credit-driven society. Everyone is concerned about their credit score, and your credit score can actually offer you a lot of benefits.
It can.
And you get that credit score by having credit. You actually lose credit score by not having credit debt, right? So major purchases are separate from smaller purchases. So having a credit card, if you're trying to build your credit, having a credit card, I think, is a good idea. But keep it in a low value or do a secure card. Secure cards are great for people trying to build their credit.
Yes.
Because they make you send them collateral like $300. They give you a credit card that's max limit is $300.
And almost every bank offers one.
It's a big deal now. Yeah, that's how my wife built her credit up, because when we moved in together, she'd never had a job. She'd never really had anything credit. So we had to peel her off of the application to get into the apartment because she had no credit history. So we got her a secure card. But when I went to go buy the Corolla, and they were like, "So how was your credit?" They just ask you, like, "So how's your credit?" I'm like, "My credit's amazing." Last time I checked my credit score was in the low 800s somewhere. They're like, "Okay, well, sounds great." And I don't regularly check my credit score. So they ran my credit report, and they give you a copy of the report. In California, it's a law. And my credit score was 767. And I was like, hold the fucking phone. What am I doing wrong here? But it's because I don't have any credit debt. I have no mortgage. I've paid off my house. I paid off my Camry a couple of years ago. Every 2 weeks, whatever's on my credit card, I pay off.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hurting my credit score.
You need to maintain a balance.
I need to maintain.
I can help you maintain balances.
Yeah, but maintaining a balance with vehicle ownership, good.
Yes,
because I got a loan for half the value of the Corolla at like what 4.99%, and it meets all of the requirements for big purchase, for maintaining my positive credit by making payments and such.
Mm-hmm.
And so my credit score will go back up. But I'm not doing that with a credit card because I'm not paying $1,300 for a $1,000 item. Yeah, forget it.
Yeah, credit cards, generally speaking, people should avoid. People should have them. People should know how to use them properly. Most people don't, which is why it's become such a large industry that is siphoning money away from people who are not financially literate. What about, I will say, not paying things on time, that's probably, regardless of what it is, credit cards or otherwise, that's probably one of the biggest things.
You're going to take the biggest hit from that. Companies have lost all their patience with that. They spend all this time and effort and advertising to get you into their financial situation, and then they're like, "Hey, you missed a payment. What the fuck's wrong with you?"
Mm-hmm.
And they do it to anybody. It doesn't really matter. So according to ChatGPT, as of 2024, the U.S. credit card debt the total credit card debt in the United States is $1.142 trillion. This is a 10.77% increase compared to the same day last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. So it takes two to create a conflict. These credit card companies are giving everybody and their grandkids credit cards, and these people are charging their asses off, and then they're not paying these credit cards off.
Sure. Now, there are some exceptions, I would say. There's an argument for, hey, I do want this, I need this, and instead of buying this, which they could, instead of using all of their capital to buy whatever that is, they can charge it, use credit on it, and then reserve the extra money to then go and invest. And if whatever they're going to invest in is going to make them money at a faster rate than the interest charged for that particular item, then that takes a level of sophistication and financial savvy that most are not
financial
aware of
and have the money, because that's a higher level financial situation.
Mm-hmm.
Most people can't do that. They're not dealing with money at that rate, that size, that volume. But I will do this. I will do that. If there's something that I want or need that I don't want to pay, I don't want to burn my liquid assets to obtain, I will use a credit card to purchase that item. However, I don't do it until I have a plan for how I'm going to pay that off. And it's not like, oh man, I want this $7,000 thing, so I'm just going to charge it because my credit card has enough room on it to charge for this thing, and then I'll just start to make payments. I don't do that. I have a dedicated plan for how that's going to go away.
That's important to know.
Yeah.
Most people don't necessarily have a plan. For example, I have made some purchases that you can see, our audience cannot, and I did.
You keep going, they'll be able to see it soon enough.
We need to stack them higher, maybe. So, the what I purchased, I did purchase a fair amount of it with credit, but there was a timeline involved with a 0% interest promotion that was
Yeah.
being offered, and for I think it was something ridiculous, like 3 or 4 years for
Yeah,
for some of
36
the stuff.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the payment was almost zero, and then it's going to be paid off before that, and so it's like, how's this? You people lose if they don't pay it off before that time, and then they get hit with all of the incoming interest.
And so, and I think that in those situations, if you don't pay it off by the time that that period ends, it compounds interest from the beginning.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it does.
so it's not like, oh, this thing cost me $10,000. They said I have 3 years, 0% APR to pay it off. And at the end of 3 years, I still owe $62 on it. So I only have to pay APR on $62.
Yeah,
Now you're
yes.
paying the
They
compound
hit you
interest.
with all of it.
Yeah.
So yes,
Watch
if you're
out.
going to take advantage of those attractive 0% promotional offers over extended periods of time, just pay it off.
Be like letter
Before.
K, come up with a plan
The plan.
before.
The plan's important.
Plan's important.
That's why. Well, that's one of the reasons my wife and I used the Every Dollar app,
Mhm.
which was produced by Dave Ramsey, and one of his tenets is give every dollar a name. Tell every single dollar what to do, and if you do that, you're less likely to make these errors. If you have a budget and you stick to it, and you have a budget being a written plan and you stick to it, but the sticking to it part is the right. You can have the plan written out, and then it's like, well, I got a flat tire, or somebody's getting married, and he's like, well, no, you got to have a plan for that stuff. Plan for that stuff to happen. Have that money built into your budget, and then it's not an emergency when those things arise.
And that's a very clear distinction to make between saving and investing.
Mhm.
Investments, they go away, they grow. Once you put money into an investment, it's gone. Unless you want to end the investment, and then it's no longer investing. It's back to saving, or it's just spending. So, but saving. So I have investments, and I put money into my investments all the time. But I have a credit union account where I save, and I just put money into a savings account, and it's designed to sit there in case I need it.
If that's your emergency
That's
fund.
my emergency fund. I'll like for the wife's car, I put money in there to save up for my half of the car, that kind of stuff. Yes, you need to have something readily available in those situations. I blew a tire. Oh, somebody's wedding's coming up. That kind of stuff. You want to have that money available, and you want to plan for that. Yeah, I mean, you call it X, call it the I don't know yet fund or whatever. But put money away. You're not gonna get any real investment return on savings accounts, especially these days. Zero, almost zero. The banks are completely fleecing everybody in a savings account. Anybody who doesn't understand how to properly make their money grow by investing is saving money, thinking they're saving money, but they're actually losing money over time because of inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you do need that money. It serves a purpose, but it should stop at a certain point. Like I do it annually. If the money collects, which I have the blessed good fortune to have money collect, I will peel off anything over a certain dollar amount, and I will invest that. I do that every year so that it doesn't just grow and lose me money, because I hate the thought of working X amount of hours to earn this, and then it retroactively is worth less money, thus more of my time, because I let it just sit there.
At least if you had taken it out and redeemed it somewhere and enjoyed it,
Yeah.
at least you had that experience, you had that moment, you had those had those memories. I think for me as a young person, one of my biggest money mistakes was simply not saying no. Right? Somebody would call, hey, we're gonna take a trip to Southern California this weekend. You wanna go? And I didn't really have the money to go. I should not have gone. I should have been more responsible and okay, let's do it. Or a friend wants to go out to dinner. Hey, let's go out to dinner. And something I would say yes more than I would say no. And if I had taken those opportunities to save the money instead of spending it, I could be in a much different financial situation now. If, like we talked about last episode, just taking that little bit and then putting that into an investment account and watching that interest compound over time.
Yeah, it's the cup of coffee conundrum. You know, I think one of the problems is that we're not teaching financial literacy at a rate that we should in this country, and it goes back to my Halloween argument. You know, it's the parents' fault. So we get all these people who want to go out every single time, aren't telling themselves, hey, you know what? I don't need to go out every single time. I can't really afford it. I need to be more fiscally responsible, and so they're doing it. And the activity or the engagement in doing that, it's got kind of a childlike quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so when we're younger, we're
living in the moment.
Yeah,
more impulsive.
Yeah, let's go do stuff. But
we're gonna live forever, and we'll save later.
And that's why younger people tend to look at the generation before them as a bunch of old fuddy-duddies, because now as you get older, you're like, dude, I did all this crap when I was young, and now I don't have any money, and now I have to really, really pivot and do a 180 and start saving as much as I can. Otherwise, I'm going to work until I die. Mm-hmm. And that's caused by not being taught the fiscal responsibility and the things that we've been talking about in this series early enough to start building, start skipping that occasional dinner, start skipping going to Starbucks once in a while and investing that money so that, you started that process in your 20s, doing your 401k matching. And then when you're our age, you're in your 40s, you're not so worried about how am I, dude, I got to start investing. I want to retire in 20 years. I'm fucked. And
it's too late at that point.
Well, it's never too late. It's never too late. Better late than never. However, it's
too late to get to where you could have been.
Yes. You're gonna have to make some sacrifices, in your silver years. Mm-hmm. But at least you're doing something. And I encounter a lot of people who are like that. Are like, oh gosh, I'm 45 years old. Social Security kicks in at 67. That's for a lot of people, the year that they can get full Social Security is the year that they're in their mind, they're stopping. They're no longer working. That's the day. But if you want to be earlier than that.
Yes. There's no guarantee. I think many people they take cases where somebody reaches the age of retirement, they've made it, right? And then not too long after they retire, then they're no longer with us. They pass away. Yeah. They die. And some people have this perception that why am I going to bother to sacrifice all of these moments, experiences, and memories with family, friends, and loved ones now when I don't even know if I'm going to get all the way out there? I don't know if I'm going to live to 67. I don't know if I'm going to live to 70. I'm supposed to have enough money for 20 years or 25 years worth of retirement. Who's to say that's going to be my lifespan? And so I don't want to do it. That's
not an argument. That's an excuse. Okay. Plain and simple. Yeah.
It is out there.
Because I've been investing since my late 20s, and I think that was too late. And when I talk about investing, I mean like I started my 401k with my first, let's say Mark, later than I should have in retrospect.
I'm surprised he didn't start at 7.
Yeah. My father did for me. He had it all figured out. But I could die today. I could die tomorrow. So telling myself I'm just going to live for the moment because I may not make it far enough to enjoy the fruits of my investment is an excuse to spend money today, when in reality, the majority of us will.
Mhm.
And we have to plan for that.
Although some people subscribe to that rationale, even though I disagree with it. It's
And that's fine. Let him do it. And while you and I are in our early 70s at some
Barbados.
all-inclusive resort in Barbados, sipping Mai Tais, just watching the rich trophy wives go back and forth, thinking about old Johnny over here who's still having to work as a grocery clerk because he had this carpe diem attitude when he was our age, that we are now. His loss. I am planning for the future, not expecting to die before it comes.
You're living intentionally.
Yes. And of course that tied with my other decisions that I've made in life, with education and going back to school and trying to better myself and trying to make more money, allowing me to do a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
So
what would you say in retrospect, looking back on your own life? I know you mentioned starting to invest sooner. Are there any other money mistakes that you may have made, big or small?
Yeah, I didn't buy Bitcoin.
Okay.
And I know that's a joke, buy Bitcoin, but I was an entry-level manager at a store in Stockton back in probably 2004, whenever Bitcoin really was just some larky little thing that was happening. And one of the baggers had purchased 100 Bitcoin or something for like, what $7 or 50 cents or whatever it was at the time. It was talking to me about it, and I was just like, that's hella dumb. but invisible money, electronic currency, that's stupid.
Blockchain, what is that?
Yeah. And he was trying to explain it to me, and I just brushed him offhanded. He probably owns land in Barbados now. If I had been just a little bit more receptive to what he was saying, and maybe a little bit less misery with my money, for $100 at the time, we would have never met. I'd be out of your tax bracket.
It's interesting how small changes at the right moments can greatly impact the direction of one's life. And yes, your whole life would be different.
Yes.
My life would be different too.
But no, the number one thing that I regret is I did when 401k became a thing, and the company I worked for started it up. They weren't matching back then, but even still, I didn't invest for like the first 3 or 4 years. And if I had to do it all over again, I would have started the first day, because those 3 or 4 years, I would probably be worth, 20-30% more now than when I started.
Yeah, for me, I think, like I already mentioned, having the wherewithal and the ability to say no in the moment as a young person, which is incredibly difficult to do when you have people that you care for, like, love, admire, persuading you to participate.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult to tell those people no. Aside from that, I would say just simply making sure that you're organized and have a plan, and being on time. I know.
Wait a minute, that's one of your tenements?
being on time in terms of making sure if you get a promotion that you complete it all the way through. It's happened to me where I was like, and then you eat the interest, or this payment was due today. What? Oh no. And then you eat $30-$40 in a late fee. And those little things, death by 1,000 cuts, they can really wreck somebody's financial situation. And it can definitely affect one's credit score, which they hopefully want to be able to use and have available to use for the larger, bigger, more important purchases in their adult life.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of automatic payments. And I know that that's only something you can do if you consistently have enough
Yes.
money to engage in that. But I don't have to worry about. When I was younger, I would do like you were saying. I'd miss a payment because I wasn't paying attention, and it takes a lot of extra time, effort, and it's stressful to try and keep track of all the things you've got to buy. I mean, all your subscriptions and your water bill and your mortgage and your electricity, your car note, all of these things. I mean, there's many things. They're all separate.
Yes.
And your credit card payment, and you've got to, and if you're not set up, if you're not using the technology to alleviate the stress of having to do that all, every month or whatever, I think that's you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. I don't necessarily find doing the budget and checking into all of the accounts stressful every time I'm doing it. I think sometimes it's absolutely necessary and valuable, and sometimes I benefit more from checking in than I would if I automated it, in terms of, wait a second, what did they just charge me? And what happened here? And I see all of those changes on all of the accounts every single month they hit. And if all of a sudden they're trying to upcharge me, or maybe they accidentally charged me double, or maybe something went wrong, and if I didn't catch it, then I would be out that money, and I could be out that money monthly from then on if I hadn't corrected.
And so when it comes to like credit cards and those kinds of purchase payments, I do pay attention, because I don't have my credit card set to automatic payments because the value is different every month. So I do go through those. Like before I pay off my credit card every 2 weeks, I look at everything. And nowadays things are like the cybersecurity of credit card fraud and such. I haven't had a problem with like an erroneous payment or something that I didn't recognize in a long time, if I'm being honest. I've had my credit union. I never use my credit union credit card. My main card is my Amazon Chase card, because I like the Amazon.
We're not sponsored by Amazon.
No, we should be, because I love my Amazon card.
Maybe we can get an affiliate link.
Maybe. But I also have my credit union, my main bank account. I have a credit card, which I never use. I keep it for emergencies, and it stays in my wallet. Sometimes it stays in the safe. And because of them getting hacked or whatever, or people probing the card numbers and trying to make purchases, I've had that card canceled and replaced like 4 times since the last time I used it.
Oh, wow.
And it's not like it happens all the time, because I haven't used that card probably in like 10 years. But
okay.
But
there are benefits to using a credit card, because Visa or MasterCard, they will protect you from any of that fraud. You're not going to be held responsible for those charges. Once on one of my cards, I bought gas in Florida.
Oh yeah.
When I wasn't in Florida.
I bought stuff in Florida.
And I went out to dinner there apparently too. And it was all able to be corrected. All the money was pretty much instantly put back into my account as soon as I alerted my bank, and I could move on business as usual while they disputed the charge with the vendor, who should have taken the adequate steps to verify that the person making that purchase was the person who was on that card. And yeah, I didn't suffer any financial hardship as a result of that fraud.
Yeah, we could do an entire episode on properly, the risks and rewards of electronic financial transactions. Yeah, but that's not saving.
No,
By definition, anytime you use your credit card, you're not saving money.
You might find ways to take advantage of things that will allow you to pay less than other people would have, but you are still coming out of pocket for that money. Yes, you are spending it.
My original argument: you're never saving money; you're only spending less.
It's just like Costco, though.
Yeah.
You pay for the membership at Costco, and you go buy things that are wholesale, right? And you're spending money, but it's that perceived I'm paying less.
Too. they put the word wholesale in their name, so you get the impression you're getting wholesale prices. That's bullshit. But yes, you do buy in bulk. You get that deal.
Mm-hmm. What? How would you sum up our country's finances now?
I would say that we as a country are infants in financial responsibility, fiscal responsibility, financial security, financial literacy. We, as an entire country, have just let ourselves be led into this huge abyss of problems. For everybody who's like me, who seems to have it pretty well sorted out, and I got my investments and I got my house paid off and all these things. I mean, how many, line us up?
You're an outlier.
Yeah, but then line up all the people who've got credit card debt, who are living paycheck to paycheck, who are always eating out and going to Starbucks and buying things that they don't need or can't afford, and have no investment portfolio, aren't even putting money into their company's matching 401k retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Line those people up. We are $1.142 trillion in credit card debt in this country.
Apple could pay it off.
We are fiscal children.
Do you think some of that is a result of, and this is, I don't want to take this down this political rabbit hole too much, but do you think the populace is taking notice of what our leaders are doing when it comes to how our country spends? And do you think they're considering that as, oh, well, they're doing it. They're borrowing money over here. They're printing more money over there. They're messing with the Fed. The inflation's here. So it's acceptable.
No, I don't think that most people even understand how
they're not making that connection.
How the national debt works. I don't even think they understand that. Okay. No, I think it's consumerism, advertising, credit companies, and their shady credit tactics. That's what I think it is. And if we had to bring in the government, I would say the fact that they haven't stepped in and been like, "Hey, you can't treat my kids that way. What are you doing?" That's where they've faulted. But we're allowed. We're Americans. We're allowed.
Sure. Have the freedom and liberty to make choices and decisions.
And we got sucked into all of the advertising and the glitz and glamour of pay it later. And $1.142 trillion later, here we are.
And in fact, I'm glad you brought up the pay it later, or to pay in for, or more like the modern day layaway sort of thing with different companies like Affirm and Klarna and PayPal. All of those, it's become big business too, and it's more, I would say it's more palatable because, oh, I can afford this payment. I'm only making 4. It's paid off. Sometimes it's interest free. And what's bad about that, right? How is that different from when your parents went to Kmart growing up before Christmas and made payments on something with layaway? Well, the main difference is your parents didn't get whatever toy you wanted right then and there when they first went in.
They had to buy it.
They had to pay it off before they got it. So we flipped that a little bit. You just agree, you make the first payment, they ship you whatever it is you wanted, and you just commit to making the next 3.
Yeah, that's the big difference between layaway and credit, of course. Mm-hmm. But no, So things like, hey, I see you're gonna spend $68 on this thing. You want to make it 4 easy payments of $13 each or whatever. And I think that perpetuates the culture of spending as well. And then it's causing its own kind of problems.
So the buy now, pay later, BNPL, according to ChatGPT, it's growing. And it's been growing since the mid-2020s. And suspecting it could reach over $400 billion globally. $400 billion globally.
So it's
just in that one
Yeah.
small sector.
It's creating a culture of not wanting to save and invest, because you're telling people you can have anything you want now and don't worry about it. You can get me back later. You can pay it over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling people that they are going to just consume forever
Mm-hmm.
with no thought about how that cycle stops or how they continue that cycle after they are no longer paying into the cycle. Yeah, all these things, they're designed to keep people locked in a place where they can't escape.
And then they continue to use the products that are being offered.
Yeah. Now we're getting into socioeconomics, and I think that we should stop there because that's a great topic, but it's not directly what we're talking about.
But it's interesting to examine how far-reaching the current financial climate is in our country, and the attitudes of the people, and what they're willing to accept, and what they know about certain things, and how that affects their decision making and choices.
Yeah, I mean, if the world's credit system collapsed this afternoon, and you woke up tomorrow, and all you had to barter to survive were the decisions you made, and the crap you purchased, how would you do?
Mm-hmm. Well, a long time ago, what they used to every 7 years, right? Didn't they used to do that? They used to wipe away all debt every 7 years. It's called the year of Jubilee. This is biblical, back in biblical times.
Oh,
they used to do
not in my country.
No, in case you were hoping for that, it's not a thing now that we're currently practicing. But what would you think, just as a thought experiment, if every 7 years, whatever debt somebody had was no longer?
I'll tell you what happened. That every sixth year in that 7-year cycle would be like the purge. Only it would be the splurge.
You should coin that. This thriller, this summer.
Yeah, right.
One gory, bloody splurge.
Yes. Yeah, it would be like 365 days of Black Friday. And now we're back to where we started. You like how I pulled that off? Cyclical.
Oh yeah, it is. It is, because when you get more, when you go down this progression of spending, because you have some, and then you have enough to save, and then you have enough to save where you can invest, like you say, when you have enough in your savings account, you put it in, and it goes into investing. And when those investments make you even more money, and you have even more, well, then you have to figure out what you're going to do with that. It usually means the things that you already buy, you're in a position where you can buy the next one, or the better one, or a slight upgrade if you so choose, and then you can go right.
Yeah,
Your giving can become more extravagant. Your generosity can become more extravagant,
and that's all marketing and consumerism too, because we're being taught. Oh, you're making a little more money. You need the next big thing.
Yeah.
You need the next better thing, but you don't.
No, you don't.
You see those memes and stuff of like actors with flip phones.
Yeah.
They've got it figured out. They don't need the next big thing.
No, you do not. And it's not this big status symbol like people think it is, because most people don't care about your stuff.
Yeah, and that's just it. And that's part of it too. Is you get into your mind that I need to make this big show of who I am, and I'm important because I have these things. No one gives a shit.
Mm-hmm. People are too into themselves to take the time to look at what you have on.
That's the paradox. You're so worried about all the things you have, you don't realize that you don't care about anybody else, and they're the same with you.
That's precisely it.
Well, I think we solved finances.
I think we solved it.
Yeah.
I think this is good.
Congratulations.
Thank you for joining us for this final episode of the ConverSAYtion as we solved finances.
Solved it.
I think we all have
without giving any financial advice.
No, we did. We gave financial opinions.
Yes, financial opinions.
And
through and through.
Feel free to use or throw away all of them. Next time, we're going to talk about something else, and you'd be surprised. Or are you ready to announce?
No, I have no idea. I haven't even thought about it yet.
All right.
So focused on money.
Please please like, comment, subscribe, share. Please let us know what you think in the comments. And thank you so much for your support, and we will see you next time.
Feel free to talk shit.
A dissenting opinion is a welcome one.
Yes, no such thing as bad press.
Mm-hmm.